our Oga Alaji by Haraji Altina Sala, who are here to hear from you your words of appreciation as you won the just concluded party primaries for Maru Bungudu federal constituency seats, which will inshallah give you the opportunity to bear the flag for the 2023 general elections. Before we start, let me introduce my Oga and allow others to introduce themselves to you. This man sitting with me is Meharaji Altine Sala, is the acting chairman of the Nigerian Union of Journalists and UJ's Afro State Council. And chairman, not only that, and a reporter, the Punch newspaper, CEO Analyzer News. CEO Analyzer News.
My name is Hussein Idris from the President Television Service, correspondent Bungudu local.
No.
Abdulmalik Zannan Bungudu.
Terror, I'm a Nigerian tribute.
I'm carrying most of my team.
Sana Haruna Duzama Radio Nigeria and Chairman, Correspondent Chairman of the Nigerian Union of Journalists.
Is Abdulmalik Senior Correspondent, News Agency of Nigeria.
Thank you very much. So, the former member, Bungudu Morikere constituency, are now the substantive candidate of the All Progressive Congress APC in the forthcoming 2023 general elections for Bungudu Maru Bungudu constituency. You have just won your party primaries, where you fall 89 votes against your opponent, who fall 6 votes, and the other person who fall 0 votes. What do you have as words of appreciation to the teaming delegates and party supporters who work round the clock to ensure your success, which was just announced?
Okay, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد خاتم النبي والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد, let me say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. First of all, let me thank Almighty God for spending our time to be at these material occasions. As you all know, this is one of the historic days in my politics, as I have won my primary election, which is victorious, not even to me, to all my constituents in Bungudu Marufedem constituency. As you all know, I was a former member of House of Representatives, which I was elected from 2015 to 2019. And within that time, I served for a very good 4 years as one single tenure. And unfortunately, you know what had happened when we were elected for the second term. As a result of the court judgment, we lost out, but we take it from God. We continue from where we stop, and God has spared our life to also have this third chance, which is today I secured my ticket as a flag bearer of APC to contest for Bungudu Maru Federal Constituency in the next forthcoming election. When I was a member, I did a lot, and most of you witnessed what I have done as a member representing Bungudu Maru Federal Constituency in 2015 to 2019. I sponsored so many bills, I presented so many motions, and in terms of capital projects, I think time will not allow me to mention, but I will mention some few. For instance, I moved a motion which will lead to the construction of the narrow bridge we have in Mayanchi and Kadauri, which I think it was almost 100% completed. Besides that, I have done a lot in terms of water, electricity, empowerment, and everything. Which if you go through my own those there, you will see a lot of activities I have done when I was a member. So now, I think it's an opportunity for me because I was in the National Assembly and I served also for almost 3 or 4 years. So I'm going to look back and see, okay, what are the mistakes I did and what are the measures I'm supposed to take to make sure that we benefited from the system. So I want to give assurance that getting my ticket, which inshallah it will lead to getting my ticket in the forthcoming general elections, which I have no doubt about it. Because the electorate that voted for me now, that is the delegates. They know my performance, they know my capacity, they know what I can do. That's why they have confidence in me. And out of the 7 aspirants we have in the National Assembly in Zamfara State, I think almost 6 of them are based on consensus. But my own, you know what had happened? Since before now, there was so many political rancor, so many issues, so many rumors and everything. Some of my even aspirants went on social media and started making so many statements, which I think you have them on their handouts. So, but unfortunately today, some of them have not even got one single vote, beside what they have been saying in media. So I have to thank the delegates because they stood with their arms and make sure that they did right. Then beside the delegates, I have to also thank our leaders because without the leaders, the delegate will not have the right also to cast their vote on me. You know what had happened in Zamfara State? For almost 3 weeks, there were so many issues for reconciliation, which the governor, Bello Matawale, had an agreement with our with our boss, Dr. Abdulaziz Yari, and there was also the Kabiru Marafa. To some extent, there's an agreement, which our own part, we abide by that agreement. But unfortunately, some people refused to abide by that agreement. So they wanted to frustrate the, the reconciliation process. But we thank Almighty God that today they went on the field and they see what had happened. They failed woefully. So we have to thank the leaders for getting me worthy enough to be at least given a form to fill, to also process all the necessary requirements and also to go for the election, which eventually I won was almost 89 votes out of the 90-something vote that was casted. So I have to thank them and also I have to thank my constituents because the love they showed me today after the election, I think it's worthy enough for me to make sure that I have to do the right thing to make sure to protect their own interests.
Honorable, while making your speech, you said you are going to review when you in the next by 2022 election. Hopefully, after your election, when you go back to National Assembly, so you are going to review, compare before when you was in the House and now, and what you have learned. I just want to know, being you as the time you was not in the National Assembly to date, what is your experience about politics and the effort you did for the people? What do you understand? What do you experience? I just want to know your experience while not in the National Assembly.
Yeah, you know, anytime you had a break, you have to sit down and also review yourself first. And also to make sure that where you have a mistake or an oversight, so it will be now a correction for you when you get a second chance. As you all know, my constituency is one of the places where we have a serious issue of insecurity. When I was a member, I moved so many motions and I even try as much as possible to make sure that there was a level of improvement in terms of security in that area. And I did my best. But unfortunately, when I left, I then need to make sure that had happened. You know the extent of the damages we have in terms of life, properties, and everything. So now, it's part of my experience. I know what I did to protect the life and property of the people that I'm representing. Because I have to work harder. I have to press everywhere I'm supposed to press. to make sure that I did my best. So now, because I have a break of almost 4 years, and also the situation is worse than before. So, I have to make sure that I have to redouble my effort to make sure that the people I'm representing have benefited from my representation, and also especially in terms of security. Because if the situation continues like that, God forbid, only God knows what will happen in the next 4 years. That is the naked truth.
Sir, Maru and Bungudu local governments are worth hit by activities of these bandits. So as a lawmaker, if elected, what will you do to ensure this has been stopped permanently?
Yeah, as I told you earlier, I did a lot when I was a member. And I know the situation is worse than before. So it means I have to do a lot to make sure that we did the right thing, so that, it's not only to move a motion or to pass a bill. As a member, you have to make sure that you do your best. There are some places that you have to go by yourself. Some you have to go and lobby. Some you have to even put your own earning to make sure that you solve those problems. Like what I did when I was a member. Anybody that has gunshot or that has an injury, I used to take care of him myself. And also, when I have time, I have to come and visit those areas to see what I can do to help them. And it's a military operations. And most of the people that are heading this military are living in Abuja. So you have to make sure that you make them one-on-one. So that the more you are giving them project, the more you are requesting more for them, the more they will give you what you need. But when you keep calm, like so nothing is happening, you cannot get anything. When you rely just to make a call, okay, something had happened, you call social person, and you just rely on that making call, it will not go anywhere. So you have to do it by yourself. So what I want to give assurance that, inshallah, when I become a member, as a member for the next coming election, by God grace, that issue of insecurity will be minimized to the limit level. Inshallah, I'll do my best.
Okay, so as you contested with 3 or 4 people, and you have won this election, while they have failed, I can see. So do you think this reconciliation process is working in your local government? Or what call do you have for them now that they have failed and you have won the election? What call do you have for them to come and help you to win the first 2023 general election?
Yes, I think almost 5 of us contested for this seat. But because of the reconciliation process, 2 of them have now agreed to step down. And I have to even use the medium to thank them for having it worthy to step down for me, and to also to accept the process of reconciliation. One of them is Sipiano Rondurua. I have to commend him for that. And also Ali Sado. I have to also commend him for that. I have to thank them because they were able there to support me to make sure that I got this ticket. Besides withdrawing for me, they also allied with me to make sure that I got this ticket. So I have to really thank them. And also those who contested and unfortunately they failed. It's politics. And this is the first step. And we also have the second step that we need to go for general election. And they have their own followers too. So what I'm going to do as a pre-man, I'm still going to meet them. I'm going to give them a call to some extent that I can even see them one-on-one, so that we can sit down. This is a game, and there must be a winner, and there must be also a loser. So I don't know what will happen tomorrow. Tomorrow I can lose. They can still have it. So it's just a matter of to coordinate ourselves to see how we can help each other. Because we are living in the same party. We agree with the policies of the party. So I'm going to try my possible best to make sure that I met them one-on-one, or that we can join hands together and see how we can get the general election successfully without any hate-free, and also to continue coordinating ourselves, so that because we are all young, and one of us will need us in the PI pitch.
However, when we won the parliament election, what is your readiness to win the general election?
Let me tell you the fact. The confidence I have, by grace of God, even if the election is coming up by next Saturday, I'm ready for it, because I know my people, and they are ready to back me up. If you see what had happened in Bungudu, you see the amount of people that gathered because of this just primary election. It's just like people have already made their mind and they show their interest to me, and I will try my best to make sure I protect their interest too. So I'm ready for it at any moment, inshallah.
Sir, don't you think that you are now contesting with a serving member?
No, I'm not contesting with a serving member. Yes, I have reason to say so.
Why?
Sir,
I know what I'm saying.
Okay.
there's
Explain, sir.
another area.
Okay, let me explain. What I'm saying is a serving by name.
Sir, another area Zamfara State is left behind is the area of education. So, what effort will you make to ensure that you revitalize the system? Because even NEPA and YM have been paid for the last 2 years. So, what effort will you make when you enter the National Assembly to ensure that you bring some development to the education system in the state in order to improve?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think one of the delegates yesterday, when we had a discussion with him, that the issue he raised, he's an old man. He said, we agree to vote you. We agree to give you our mandate. But please and please, when you become a member, try and see how you can look at the future, the educational future of our children. So that observation is in my mind. I will not forget it in my life. And whether we like it or not, our educational system is to some extent need a surgery. Because from the education, if you're talking about it from the primary school, the secondary school, the tertiary institution, how many graduates do we have now that have finished their schools, but they cannot proceed? How many secondary school leavers that they have finished the secondary school, but some of them have not got their WAEC? Some of them are staying in the house, they cannot even write the WAEC because it was not paid, or they don't have the money to be paid. So it's a serious challenge. And it's not something that only legislation can take care of. It's more of executive than legislation. But since we are working hand in hand with them, so we have to advise them, we have to make our own input. So I want to give you assurance that by God's grace, in terms of education, I'm going to give you more priority. When it comes to the only two issues I'm going to give priority is number one, insecurity. Because when there is no peace, you should not expect anything. So when we have a peace, then we have to talk about the issue of education. And inshallah, we're going to get the light of the day.
That was the honorable, former honorable member who represented Maru Bungudu in the National Assembly. And now, substantive candidates for Maru Bungudu Karam constituency race in the 2023 general elections. Mai girma da shugaban majalisa mun saurari ka a cikin harshen Turanci. Allah muna son a dunkule ka isar da sakonka zuwa ga al'ummarka da waɗanda delegate da suka baka haɗin kai da kuma ita kanta gwamnati da garin da wannan karimci da aka yi.
To jama'a assalamu alaikum. Kamar nace dai farko dai muna gode ma Allah da ya gwada mana wannan rana wannan lokaci. Da fatar abinda ya albarkace mu Allah ya taimake mu kuma ya ba mu nasara. Kamar yadda kuka sani Allah ya kaddara rana ce daban ta manta da ta wadda aka zabe ni na ci primary sina a matsayin wanda zai wakilci wannan yanki namu na Bungudu da Maru karkashin jam'iyyar mu ta APC. So wajibi ne na farko dai masu shugabannin mu godiya ta musamman irin mai girma gwamna Dr. Bello Muhammad Matawalle da kuma shi mai gidanmu Dr. Abdulaziz Yar Abubakar da kuma Sanata Kabiru Marha da sauran 'yan jam'iyya wanda sanadiyyar sulhun da aka yi shi ya gadar da wannan nasara ta. Su ba wani zance sanin Allah ya saka musu alheri kuma Allah ya basu munci. Su kuma wanda suka ga garumin aikin su ne delegates. Kowa ya sani cewa ishu na Bungudu Maru kwana 2 zuwa 3 ya dan yi nauyi kwarai da gaske. Ana ta maganganu ta kawan sadarwa cewa ga abin da ke faruwa ga abin da za a yi. Cikin kujeri guda 7 wannan da aka yi zaɓe a kanta. Kuma wannan zaɓe mun kai mu 5 amma cikin taimakon Allah guda 2 sun jaye. Bayan sun jaye kuma sun ba da gudunmuwarsu. Kamar da na faɗa cikin turanci akwai Sufiyanu Roldoruwa akwai kuma Aliyu Dan Sado. Bayan sun aminta sun jaye kuma sun je da su aka yi zaɓe sun ba da tasu gudunmuwa. Sauran 2 kuma da ba su jaye ba kamar da result ya nuna sun ga abin da ya faru. Guda ya samu 5 guda ya samu 0. Guda ya samu 6 guda ya samu 0. So alhamdulillah dai godiya ta tabbata ga waɗannan delegate da suka ba da gudunmuwa suka tsaya suka yi abin da ya dace. Kuma insha Allah ba za mu manta da su ba za mu manta da wannan yanki namu ba, kuma za mu yi ƙoƙarin ganin in Allah ya so yarda wannan kujera da aka sake zaɓen mu bayan an gama zaɓe mun je majalisa mu ga ya za mu taimaka ma al'umma. Kuma kamar da kuka sani shi zaɓe haka yake, dole a samu wanda ya ci da wanda ya faɗi. So wanda ya ci ya gode ma Allah kuma ya tashi abin da ya kamata, wanda suka faɗi su ma su yi haƙuri. Kuma za mu neme su domin mu haɗa kai jam'iyyar mu guda domin a samu nasara. Zan kira su ta waya kuma zan je ma gidajensu domin in neme su mu zo mu haɗa kai mu ci gaba da tafiya tare. Wannan ce siyasa, na samu yau gobe na zuwa wani su zai samu. So wannan shi ne abin da shahi wannan taya ta zaɓe da aka yi.
Wani abu mai muhimmanci a wannan gaba shi ne batun katin jefa kuri'a. Wanda hukumar zaɓe ta sanar yanzu haka akwai katukan jefa kuri'a na dindindin jirgi a wasu sosan tabati a karba ba. Akwai kuma waɗanda ba su da shi ba su yi ba. Yana da kyau da Hausa ka yi kira ga al'umma musamman da mazaɓarka yau da suka son kayan ba katin nan kila ba abin da suka yi ranar zaɓe.
So alhamdulillah kamar da ka sani wannan katin shine makamin kowa, kuma in babu shi to ba za ka iya komai ba. Sau da banda ma katin akwai katin ma kuma akwai komi lafiya lau, amma za ka isko akwai sabbin rahunan da aka yi wanda ya kamata mutanen mu su tashi su hita daga cikin wannan rahunan da a cinkoso su koma ga masu sauki. Inda ka je kai kwana ka yi ni kana jiran ka jefa ƙuri'a ko ka je tun karfe 9 ba za ka samu jefa ƙuri'a ba sai karfe 4. In ka cire kanka ka koma karamar ruhun da an ka buɗa ta bakin gidanka karfe 9 ka gama ka tafi wajen taimaka. Suna kira ga wannan, sannan wanda bai da shi wajibi ne ma ce, wanda na shi ɓace shi ma wajibi ne ce gane ke shi ko je sake yin sabo. So amma banda ma samun katin to a yi ƙoƙarin ma a rarraba jama'a su je su gane wannan sabbin runhuna, kuma duk runhun da bata kai 100 ba kamar yadda INEC ta baya za a kashe ta, kuma a kashe ta gobe sai ka nemi shekara nawa ana neman wannan runhuna ba a same su ba. So Allah yana kira ga al'umma Bungudu da Maru mu tashi tsaye mu cika sabbin runhunan mu, kannan wanda bai da katin zaɓe ya je yi, wanda na shi ɓata je sabunta. Ina godiya da wannan, Allah ya saka musu alheri. Da zai ku ta editing ku yi da kamata ku